So, found another image. Not the same girl this time. Still quite a good image. And this one. I'm going to put all these images on the members area. So, if you want to do them. Yeah, so that was the previous one. You can tell. You probably maybe not watch them in the right order, the same order. Then that one. And then that was the first one. So, these are my cardboard portraits. It's interesting this because it's like so I started from this point of view of it's emotional, it's an emotional connection and it's your emotional response to the subject, which it is. I mean that's where I'm coming from primarily. But then it was skills. It was the skills thing, and how we develop skills and the skills we need and all the rest of it. So now we're at that place where the intention is to respond, and what skills you need to do that you will develop. That's it. So intention equals skills is probably the best way to describe that, which is what I've done with the title. Maybe not quite the right title, but if this works out, I'll do a proper video, edit the video of it, and then I'll think of a better title. But I think that's it. I think the development skills thing, as I was saying in the previous one, is always going to be about why you want those skills. Not necessarily I've got these skills, let's try and find somewhere to use them, which is and that's born about by this consideration, perception, assumption that everybody wants to do it in a certain way, because that's the other thing as well. It's everybody wants to make portraits like me, so therefore I will show you my skills. That's the usual route, whether it's an academic thing or whether it's somebody trying to flog their courses. It's always a case of, well, everybody wants to do like me, surely. No. And I think that I talk about that presupposed comprehension all the time. It's this thing of just because you do it and it's successful doesn't mean to say that everybody else wants to do it in the same way. And it always reminds me of my sister-in-law when her and my wife were young. She used to come back from buying a pair of shoes, and Janet, my wife, would say whatever about them and not like them probably. But the sister-in-law would say, "They're great. You should get them. You should go and buy. They're only this much. Go and buy a few pairs. You should," kind of forcing her likes on my wife. Just because she likes them, don't we say that my wife would like them? And that was the assumption she was making. And I think that's probably what happens with making art and doing this kind of thing. People make this assumption that just because they're perceived to be successful in what they do, they think everybody else wants to do it in the same way. And you see some of them are really, really, vehement in the way that they promote their perception of success. It's quite, sometimes it's quite aggressive, and just because you like it, because it works for you, and I'm dead chuffed that they have found a way to express themselves. But just because they can do it that way doesn't mean to say that I like that and I want to do it like that. They just make that assumption that you do. Of course, then it gets propelled by various organisms, the organs of the art world, the galleries and the critics and all that sort of thing, and then all of a sudden it's the de facto whatever way of doing things, and we can't question it, But you just think about it. If every one of us arrived at a different destination based on our creative force, imagine that. That would be an art world that you want to be part of, isn't it? So, I was watching something the other night and somebody said that the art was full of great work. What can I contribute to that? It's just like, yeah, that was. It was not an artist that said that. It was some play or series or something. So it's not somebody who's really thought about it that much and just sounded good, you know. But the idea that there is only, you know, there's only room for certain types and certain kinds and certain quality and all that. There's room for everything, you know. And I said that the other week on Facebook, where I said that there's a hole shaped like your art in the world, and only you can fill it. And that, a lot of people thought it was a bit of a flippant thing. Well, it's true. It's true. It's only the world is waiting for you to make great things. That's the human evolution thing, you know. We're just we're here to create, not, you know, in more ways than one. But we're here not to consume. It's not, you know, to consume what others create, I suppose. But yeah, but this idea that skill comes from the, you know, intention. I like that. I like the practicality of that. You know, that it's not a stock off the shelf answer. It just comes from what I need. The downside to it, and probably the upside at the same time, is that you do develop skills that can be transferable, so to speak. So you end up where my observation skills are quite highly skilled, highly developed, and so I just you know, everything I do, I transfer that skill. I use that skill. I rely on that skill. When I was doing the oil pastels last week, if I'm painting, I lean on my drawing, on my observation, and that gets me out of trouble, if you like, or it's the foundation of what I'm doing, which is why I talk about drawing being the foundation of painting anyway. But only because it's what I do, you know. It's not necessarily because defined drawing. That's the other side of it. But for realism, I suppose, if realism is your bag, then yeah. Again, I think it's windy now. I don't know whether or not it's the wind that's causing these issues, but it could be. YouTube's not that, you know. Some streaming type of things will just reduce the bitrate, you know, so you get a pixelated pixel again. But YouTube just chucks you off. Another reason why it's absolutely useless, amongst many other things. So I'm not a fan. A friend of mine's having real problems with their membership, and it keeps saying they're no longer a member. And according to what I see on my end, they are still members. It still takes the money, but it tells them that they're no longer members, and so they can't access things. This is rubbish, and there's no one to talk to because it's all bots and God knows what else. You know, there's a curse of our time. These bot-operated chatbot things, absolutely stupid. All I do with those things is I just keep typing cabbage into the text box, and ultimately it'll end where it says, "We'll get one of our staff to contact you." I don't want to talk to a stupid chatbot. Anyway, ranting. Sorry. Only because it stopped. But this relational skill thing, skill in relation to intention thing, relational stuff is if you listen to something like Paul Ingbertson talking about relational drawing, for instance, it's fascinating. See, people like that are they're the guys you want to listen to. Not somebody's going to tell you it's like, oh, you've got to follow these rules. You're going to just do this step by step, and oh, hey presto, you can draw. I tell you what, if anybody says that, I would counter that and say you could draw before you even started doing the step-by-step stuff. It's just that you thought you couldn't, and you thought you had to do it in a certain way. That was the problem. So you could always draw. It's noisy. I don't know if you can hear that, but that's really noisy, that, isn't it? Really noisy. It's like what they call that ASMR, whatever. It's one of those. So I've seen people do that. They do that on the videos. They talk about it as a, you listen to as if listening to it is some kind of turn on. There's some funny folk out there, and there's not so funny as folk, as my dad used to say, along with many other Yorkshireisms. And most of it I can't repeat, but yeah. So as I said, this thing about skill development in line with intention, I love all that. It's like it just points you straight at the point, at the need to define your intention. What it is. I mean, it might well be that it's a bit like that. That they're saying that we define by the questions we ask of the world around us. That one, right? It's a bit like that. And if your intention is, I'm going to make a super duper photocopy of a face, then all of a sudden your skills have to be developed in line with that intention. But if your intention is just to respond like mine is and have fun doing it, then my skills are appropriate to that end as well. So, and I develop skills accordingly. So it will be rapid mark making and brief mark making and succinct and accurate and all that kind of stuff. But no real labor as such. It's not about the effort. As I said before, it's just, if we can see the effort in something, then it's craft. If we can't see the effort, then it's art. And I like that. I like the idea of it being effortless, or appearing to be effortless. But as I said, it's just a different way, I suppose, of looking at skill acquisition. Plus, the fact, I feel for those people that spend hours and hours doing something over and over and over and over, thousands of times, under the misconception that it's going to make them artists. It's not. It's not going to make them any better artists than if they hadn't done it for thousands of times. It's like the sketchbook thing. I think I've never kept a sketchbook. I didn't keep them at college. It was a graphic design course, so there was no need other than to record ideas. But then that again was futile. But particularly with graphic design, it was very much a doing thing back in the day. But I mean, obviously when computers came, it was a different thing. But so I never kept a sketchbook. Never felt the need to sketch. I just think it just gets in the way. I just want to get on and do this. I don't want to spend time sketching things that ultimately I'm going to draw anyway. I might as well just draw them in the first place. But yeah, it's it's a tough argument, though. It's a tough argument to say you shouldn't be sketching, or you shouldn't be doing something over and over again, or you shouldn't have the knowledge to do that. It's a tough argument, and it's I think if people aren't receptive, because most people won't be to that. It's not something I'll ever try and force on anybody, or this happens to just be my way. So if people choose it to be a more traditional skills sort of approach, that's fine by me. I'm not going to go to war with anybody about stuff like that. I think at the end of the day is that if I can share something that only one thing, that helps somebody, even if it's just a sponge on a stick, that kind of thing, then that's fine by me. I do get a bit uptight about the kind of enforced expectation of others. This is how you do it. This is how you should do it. This is how I do it. I do get a bit uptight about that, because it's their way. As I said earlier, it's their way, and I'm cool with that. But don't force your way on my way, which is what they do, and then they force it on others, and then I get people telling me that I'm doing it wrong because of this other person's perception of how it should be, based on this other person's dictation of how it should be. So, which is what I say why I get uptight, and the fact that I want people to get a more rounded understanding of this, what this is about. I am trying a little bit harder than the previous ones for it to be a little bit more drawn than in things like this, for instance, with the lips and things. But it's when as soon as I make that decision, I always feel as though it's got a chance of failing because of that decision. Because it then becomes about the execution a little bit, and so I've always got to keep in mind that it isn't about execution. It isn't about the skill aspect of it and the execution of the marks and so on and so forth. I've got to keep in mind that that's not why I'm doing this. Which again, I think is one of those difficult things to argue. It's because it's counter to what people believe. It's amazing that this rubber will it rubs off pretty good. I mean, it probably rubs off as good as it does when it's working with charcoal, but it's not. I'm not trying. This is obviously a putty rubber, so I'm not really trying with the this thing. This thing might be quite good to because it's more of a plastic rubber. Than a soft putty rubber. I say they're not really, it's not going to really rub off that well. I'm going to just get sort of ghosts of things. Be careful with the rubbing side of things, because it's just going to create a blending kind of stumpy type of effect. I don't want that. So I've got to be careful with that. Yep. I think there's a glow around the hair at the top there. I think that gives it the extra size, because there's a physical shape relationship between the hair and the size of the hair and the head. So if it looks too small, then if the hair looks too small, it doesn't look like it fits on the head, and that's I think that's because of this extra glow that's around the top of it. It's only tiny, but as soon as I put it on like that, and then obviously it's going like that, and then it's got. I'm going to try and I'll try and show you extent of the glow, right? And you'll see. You see how already? Look, you see that there? Look, you see how it's suddenly makes the hair look big enough for the head. You see it? Yep, you see it now, okay. So now it looks like, you know, the relationship of the sizes look right, but also a kind of a light source there, which is what's causing the light coming through the back of her hair. And they're probably going to end up using all of this, these charcoals and these pastel pencils. Did I say that little pastel? I can't remember if I told you that. They're the Conti ones that I use a week. Just found them. I didn't know buy them or anything. They must be 30 odd years old. So I've seen them on the net on Great Art and places like that, but I've not. I haven't bought anything. But I'm not using them. As a friend of mine's got some, and he's been painting with them, if you like. I think that's what he calls it. You know, but I'm not being awful. I mean, drawing with colour pencils is, to some people, pastel pencils is painting. So he's been painting with them, using all the colours. I'm more interested in drawing with them because of this, you know, this charcoal-esque feeling that they have when you draw with them. Yeah. So as I said, the style thing for me is really, or the skill thing for me is just born out of this intention, the desire to capture the life force and whatever that takes to do it, you know. And because the other thing about it is that it's dependent on the subject. It changes every time. It's like Robert and I said, it's as if every time you start something, it's as if you've got zero skills. It's definitely different every time. It should be, as I said in the earlier one and the previous one, it's got to be different every time. Every face that you draw is different, so you wouldn't want it to, you know, if you're talking about emotionally driven portraits, if you're talking about replication portraits, copying faces portraits, it probably would be the same every time. You just employ the same skills, which to be honest, is the safest option, because you just know it's going to work because you've always worked before. Just follow the rules, you know, follow the process, as they say, and trust in the process, as they say. But if you don't want to trust in the process, you want to be a kind of a kind of free spirit about doing this, then you've just got to trust in your response. That's what it is, and that your response to something is going to help you to respond, help you to create, help you to capture, according to that, you know, that desire. But as I said, it's one of those horses for courses thing again. I think that if it works, then it works, you know. I mean, I do talk about this stuff in the light of it's easier, you know. That's the fundamental. It's easier than having to spend forever learning a technique or a skill that maybe you won't use, but you will use it because you've got it, so you'll use it. It's one of those, you know, you've got a screwdriver in your toolkit, so you know how to look at the screws. It's one of those kind of things. So you will use it. It's not like you won't. It's just that whether or not it was appropriate for you to learn those skills. and all that it does to your development creatively, because it'll restrict your creativity. It's the I haven't got any oils, or I haven't got enough gouache, or I haven't got any watercolor, or whatever. It's there will be some restriction on your creative expression, but yeah, I think that's just about done. I quite like these board drawings, these cardboard drawings. I like the because it's not white thing, and they feel. I tell you what, one of the things they do, they feel a bit disposable. You know what I mean? They feel a bit like, no, I'm not keeping it anyway. I'm just going to chuck it away. So, and I feel the same about the drawings. The drawings are disposable drawings. Mind you, I think all my drawings are disposable. So I'm not going to keep. But I keep every one. This is the problem. I do keep every one, and I was thinking about reshuffling it. Getting rid of. I've got a shelf full of frames that I've acquired for I don't know how many years. From the charity shops. Oh, that's a bargain. I'll buy that. And I've got a shelf full of those frames. I could put a lot of drawings on that shelf. So I think I'm going to clear out all. I'm never going to use the frames. They're all those nasty gold gilt things, So I'm never going to use them. So I might as well chuck all those away and start, because I've got nowhere to keep. I mean, all the oil pastels last week, they're all here at the side of me, and then I've got drawings on the right side of me. Then I've got 40 odd folders, these things. There's 40 something of these folders. I've got which are about that. You see that thickness. They've all got 80 drawings in them, and then I've got probably 450. I've probably got 2 piles now of 450 just not in folders. So I'm desperate for space. Now I've done these. This is the thing when you do so many, and I thought I'd slow down. I'd just not do so many, but it doesn't work like that. I think I wish it did work like that. When I slow down, it often doesn't work, which is the infuriating part about it, really. Because I think I'm going to do it, meticulous. We're going to do a really nice, sort of drawing and capture everything. The life inside. So that's it. It just dropped again. It's YouTube. It's absolutely shocking. They swore then, but it's just it's good you don't have to pay for it. All the rubbish to do with the the analytics and things, and the way they screw money out of people. It's all nobody wins with. It's a lottery. So I said to them today, it's a lottery with YouTube, just like a lottery. The people at the top win and always win, and people at the bottom, the people that are creating the platform, occasionally win, unless you're like dancing cats. Dancing cats always win. You can always get plenty of views from people dancing cats, but you're not going to get loads of views if you're trying to educate somebody or just share your thing. There ought to be a platform where you can just share your thing. It could be called that, couldn't it? Just share your thing. That's supposed to be what YouTube, and they try and promote that, don't they? You get those ads, those YouTubers. Never been a better time to be. Everybody should be on YouTube. I'm 83, and everybody should be on YouTube. Why? Why? Unless you've got something to, they get on and they talk about how they fiddle the pension or whatever. But unless you've got something really valuable, don't get on there and stir up all the mud at the bottom of the pond, because it just perpetuates. Like I say, dancing cats. I'm speaking metaphorically, by the way. I'm just thinking about all the people that do stunts, the very famous people that have set the bar for YouTube, that got there by just doing stunts. And it's not, because people are fascinated by stunts. Anyway, so I'm finishing now before it drops again. But I'm going to do another one in a minute. So, but that worked all right. The eye's a bit big, but that worked all right. Yeah. But like I say, the skill intention thing, that's it. Just be clear in your intention, and the skills. You will find the skills. I mean, you might, as I said, it might be realism hyperrealism or whatever that is your intention, go out and find the skills to do that. But it has to be based on the intention, because if it's not, you're just going to get fed up with it. You're just going to, and you'll end up doing it for the wrong reasons, and you'll end up where I was, packing it in because you're overwhelmed by the must do it this way kind of brigade. You're not good enough brigade. You're not like us brigade. Do it like us. Do it like us. We know what we're doing. Let us tell you how to do it. No. Anyway, yeah, so I'm going to leave it at this before it drops again, and I'll look for another one. If this is any good at the end of it, I might convert it into a video, and then, because I'm recording it as well, you see, so I could make it a video and then put it up without the black breaks in it, the screen just suddenly going black.